Hello everyone, this is Mrs. Mariarek Sugirtha, Assistant Professor from ZIBA, a Jesuit Business School of St. Xavier's College Autonomous, Palayam Kottai, Tirunelveli. Today, we are here to learn about parametric tests. In the research context, most of the researchers are interested to use only parametric tests, but without understanding what are our real requirements, what are our research objectives, what do we try to analyze or find, we should not simply opt for statistical tools. This session is intended to make you all understand the prerequisites for using parametric tests. First, I want to ask you a question. Do you know the difference between the parameter and statistics? Parameter is a measure used to describe the characteristics of the population. Statistic is a measure of a sample characteristics. So these are the things that we could have studied earlier. And also, the name parametric itself gives us the meaning of when to use it. The data that we are having for the analysis should be a measurable data, or the data should be a metric data. Now, we will discuss what does this parametric mean to us. Parametric tests are those that make assumptions about the parameters of the population distribution from which the samples are actually drawn. This again gives us a clarity on how the inferences made on the population from sample statistics. Most of the researchers adopt survey method in which samples are drawn from a large population. From the sample statistics, we actually infer things about the population. That is why we call those things as inferential statistics, those measures as inferential statistics. Simplifying it further, if a researcher is having the information about the population completely, then he can assume something about that population characteristics. So, with the help of the parameters or the measures of the population, he or she is able to assume something about the characteristics of the population. So, in such case, we are using parametric tests. Parametric tests assume three important conditions based on these three things. When all these three things are considered, we will come to know whether we should use parametric test or we should not use parametric tests. I will explain you the decision points with these three important elements: type of data, distribution of data, equality of variance. Now I will explain you the decision points. The first condition is type of data. The type of data in research is broadly classified into qualitative or categorical data and quantitative or metric data. Hope you all have studied the categorical data, or those are not measured quantitatively. The metric data or measurable data which can be measured quantitatively. So, the data you have are categorical in nature or qualitative in nature, then we can use non-parametric test. But we should not use parametric test. If you confirm that your data is quantitative in nature, that is interval or scale kind of data, then we call it as a metric data. Then you are eligible to check the second assumption, that is normal distribution. Therefore, our second checkpoint is normal distribution. Here we check whether the data are normally distributed. To check this normality, we have several test options in SPSS. We will see this later in the SPSS session. If the data is not normally distributed, the data distribution is non-normal, then we can use non-parametric test, but we should not use parametric test. But while analyzing, we find that our distribution has normality. Then we can go with checking the third assumption, that is equal variance. If the data is not assumed the equality in variance, or we call it as homogeneity of variance, if we find our data set doesn't assume this condition, homogeneity of variance, then we can use non-parametric test, but we should not use parametric test. By the way, we confirm that our data set is along with the metric data condition and normality condition. It also has the homogeneity of variance assumption in it. Then we can confidently say that we can use parametric test. These are the types of parametric tests. Which test of parametric tests should I use is the next question every researcher asks for. Selection or using of tests depends purely on what is the research objective. That is, what we need to analyze matters in the selection of the test. I repeat, what we need to analyze matters in the selection of the test. First, we will understand what are these parametric tests and when are these tests used. T-test, Z-test and analysis of variance, in short ANOVA, are the statistical tools used to measure or to analyze whether there is any significant mean difference exists among groups. The next tool is Pearson correlation. Pearson correlation is a statistical tool used to measure the strength and degree of association between two scale variables. The last test, linear regression, it measures the impact of one variable on the other. It gives you the linear regression, gives you the measurement of how much one independent variable have an impact on the other dependent variable. So, the selection of all these tests purely depends on our research objective. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos.